Hey guys, good morning. Hello everyone. Welcome to Eldercare's webinar series this morning. We are so excited to have you on. My name is Melanie Lemke. I'm going to be hosting this morning. And we do have a really wonderful special guest on today with HealthSpring, which is Chris Falsgraf. So, like I said, I'm so excited that you guys took the time out to join us. As you have questions, please just type those in and we will get those answered for you before we wrap it up today. And I'm going to go ahead and Chris, if you want to take the floor, we can go ahead and get started.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Melanie. Excited to be here. I've worked with a number of elder care agents over the few years that I've been in this role, and excited to develop some relationships with more. And I'm thrilled that David asked me to come in today to provide an elevator pitch for some of our SNP products. We have, we're one of the various SNP competitors out there with products in certain areas, not everywhere. And we can talk about some of those specifics, but we'll jump right in here. And elevator pitch, I can be very thorough. So I kind of have to challenge myself to pick some of the core components to really pitch to you guys in a 25-minute session. And so there's a lot that we could talk about with SNPs, but love this quote from Albert Einstein: if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. And I feel like I understand our SNP products very well in certain areas, most notably Texas, which is going to have some of our best setup in terms of that. And I know that there's a lot of elder care agents that write Texas, but we also have some in some other spots that's definitely worth mentioning. And so we'll get to that here shortly. Here is the quick rundown of my pitch, and we'll pretty much break up the components of this as we go in today. The quick pitch of why HealthSpring SNP, and I'm trying to get everybody to, and hopefully everybody sees the purple. You're starting to get familiar with it. I know there's another purple out there, so it's just another, we were another blue to get used to, and so now we're just another purple. But hopefully you guys are pretty familiar with the HealthSpring name, where Eldercare is primarily based. It's a legacy plan in a lot of the areas that you guys seem to focus on. And so I think, they never really stopped calling. I live in Mississippi. They never really stopped calling it HealthSprings here. We were never Cigna. We were always HealthSprings. So we're just going back to that name here. And I think you'll find that in a lot of areas as well. But we are definitely evolved from the old HealthSpring days. And we had a great track with Cigna. It was a great time. I think they did a lot of things to really recharge us and get us in good footing nationwide. And now we're excited to go into our new brand and really prop up our products, including our SNP products. We have a lot of care and focus that goes into them nationwide, and we'll kind of break those down here shortly. So I'm going to go over the who we are really quick, and I just kind of hit on that a little bit as far as where we've been yesterday, today, and what are we doing to spring forward and really help elevate not only the SNP products, but all of our other lineup as well. Well-balanced product offerings, and particularly with the SNP plans, very robust plans, curated with care. And we focus on some different things that maybe some of the other carriers don't. And there's a lot of similarity in there as well, but we'll hit on that briefly. Built for long term, I'm going to highlight some of the products and programs that are embedded in our plans to help keep members happy and healthy. That's one of our strong points with all of our product lineups, but in particular to SNP. And then better for business. We'll really kind of just end up talking about tying it all together, figuring out what do we do with this pitch? How can I expand my business in the SNP world? Not only for HealthSpring, we know that we're not a one-size-fits-all, and I'll be a salesperson that will admit that. We're not the best fit for every client that's out there, but I think some of the tips that we'll talk about will not only help you position HealthSpring better, but also any SNP product that's out there that can really benefit a member. All right, so who we are. Really quick, our goal our overall goal and the overall who we are, our goal is to advance healthcare by bringing together the power of a trusted partnership. And we've developed that over decades as different names. And, we're back to a familiar name with that. But we've had a little bit of history through there, but we've really grown. We've really strengthened our footprint, and we're excited to see what the future holds for us now that we're back to being just HealthSpring. HealthSpring goes beyond healthcare by offering true partnership. Our personalized, integrated, and supportive approach ensures a consistently high quality experience. And we are a trusted partner in the coordination of care, empowering those that we serve to live a vibrant and healthy life. And you're going to see that highlighted a lot more on special needs plans, just in general across the entire industry in terms of that coordination of care. But that's definitely a focus here as well. By the numbers, our new home is what some of these call outs are for. HCSC is the #1 largest U.S. customer-owned health insurer. We have gone from being with a publicly traded company to a private company that has a board, and I think that there's pros and cons to any setup, and I think that there's definitely some cons that occasionally come with that. But I think that there's a lot of pros in getting our mission of being there for the members. I think a lot of that is supported better so far we're seeing that with private company. And so we're excited. HCSC is excited about us. They already have some products that are out there in the industry, obviously with some of their blue plans, but we're excited to be there the way that they plan to scale their business. And that's not just in, one particular product. SNP is definitely a focus in that as well. I'm not going to read any of the other stats here, but we are very strong in terms of our membership right now. We have a lot of providers. I think that was some of the best work over the past decade was, with our previous company, getting that provider network really strengthened, because that was kind of a tough thing for us for a long time in history, but we're really well suited with our network now and continuing to grow that. So excited to see what we can do. We are, in terms of who we are, we advocate for our members. And some of this is not unique to HealthSpring. This is obviously across the industry. You're going to have focus in certain areas like member services, making sure that the customers are able to get what they need at a lot of various different times. And so we have member services continuing to get some work. Is member services perfect? 100% of the time, no. That I don't think that's true for any company. But I do think that they've done a lot of work to get some advocates in place to really help make sure that we're there for the customers as much as possible. They're getting accurate information, and we're trying to take some of the hassles out of some of the things that were, that may have been an issue before. We do have a dedicated supplemental benefit support for all of the extra benefits that are added on to our plans, and you'll see that there's quite a few of those on the SNP plans. And so they each have their own customer service that manages that benefit, and that's the best way to kind of get the help on that. And then we also empower our brokers. We are still focused on getting brokers to implement the health risk assessment at the point of sale to really ensure that we're getting all those needs at one time and making sure that we're getting identified everything that member is going to need when they get on board with us, especially on the SNP plans. And then we also do some proactive outreach. We do have a welcome team that reaches out to a lot of members as they get started with us. And then you'll see that our special needs plans is going to have a little bit of deeper care in terms of extra care teams that reach out and even do some visits with some of those clients. Supporting our broker partners. That's another big piece that we've really done a lot of improvement on here in the past few years. Formerly Carl is now the Agent Resource Center. They are available by phone for extended and weekend hours during OEP. So right now, if you call on a Saturday, you will get them. ARC is available also virtually. We have a click to chat option, and we also have an email box that is staffed by some of the best agents that we have on that team. And so any complex issues, highly recommend that you go that route to get some help. We've also revamped our broker portal. It is now HealthSpring for brokers. It's been redesigned a little bit, over the past few years, and really a lot more user-friendly because we're also putting everything that you need in that one portal instead of making you chase around a lot of different portals and with different passwords. That was kind of what we were known for a little bit, but that is definitely a big improvement. And also, love to highlight with brokers, fair compensation remains a top priority in terms of our positioning, not with just SNP products, but anything. And we are paying the fair market value on compensation for all plans that are currently paying commissions. Not to mention, we're also paying for any HRA that's completed, whether it's a DSNP or if it's just a preferred HealthSpring member. So we are excited about that. Love to highlight my team that I'm a part of. I am a supervisor of the West region of a virtual broker manager team. You guys are probably very familiar with your local broker managers that are out there. If you're in Arkansas, you probably work closely with Ben. We have a lot of different areas that we have local representation, but we also have a national team that focuses on markets where we really don't have maybe a local that's readily available, or maybe they're what's the word I'm looking for, just not able to get to you as quick as we possibly would love to. And so we have those virtual team members that are there to help you with every step of the way, whether you're in person or not. All right, so well-balanced products. So I'll highlight some of the specifics with our SNP products to really help firm your mind around this. We do have two focus areas in terms of special needs plans. We have the Total Care D-SNP, which is very well established, currently in 17 markets nationwide. Multiple products in some of those markets. So you'll see in some markets we'll have a Total Care plan, and then we'll have a Total Care Plus plan. And that all depends on how that state's Medicaid level setup is with us. And so a little bit of difference out there, whereas in Texas, you'll have a single Total Care plan, but it's going to include all levels of the Medicare Savings Program that are out there. All of our plans do coordinate. We do have a HIDE in Florida currently, but I know that there's been some evolution with that. As of right now, the recommendation is all plans coordinate only, which means that we are not a fully integrated plan that does qualify for an extra election. But with that, we do have some benefits that are covered on our plans that maybe some of those FIDE plans may not fully cover. And so we're excited to have some of those lineups still available, still plenty of opportunities to get some folks on that. We do also have an Achieve C-SNP plan, which is currently available in 8 markets nationwide. We just expanded for 2026. It's the same product setup across the board with all plans. And maybe a little bit of difference in some of the copays that are out there, but all the same setup with the extras that are included. And we have a few different conditions that are included on that. Not as many as maybe some other carriers, but the core chronic conditions are covered, and we try to make that as easy as possible with getting that taken care of for you. So real quick with our basics here with the plans. My animations are a little off, that's okay. So Total Care, really the key components are that you must be receiving Medicaid benefits directly through the state or the Medicare Savings Program. And that level is going to determine how close to zero cost share that you get. And that's the same way on every D-SNP plan that's out there. Most members will be eligible for LIS and will receive significant or even full reduction on drug costs and deductibles. These plans do contain some of our most robust supplemental benefits, not to be confused with MedSup, but the extra benefits that those allowances that are there for dental, vision, transportation, as well as some programs not offered with many plans. Because these members receive help paying for premiums, the plan doesn't receive any kind of Part B buy-down benefit. And I know it's a trap that I've seen some folks get into. They think, I would love to get that extra $125, but you're not going to be able to do that if you're not paying your Part B premium. And then our plans are excluded from a monthly election. I've already mentioned that and why. But prospecting for new to Medicaid opportunities can definitely lead to year-round enrollment opportunities as well. The Achieve, however, on the other hand, I've already hit on those three conditions that are typically covered. This is a benefit that a plan that's going to include a healthy grocery allowance, which is very nice on our HealthSpring Flex card. Now that is a quarterly allowance, and you do lose it at after that quarter if you did not use that. And so it's important to remind your members to do that. There is much lower cost on there for insulins, other chronically needed medications on Tier 6. And then there is a verification process that's required for any C-SNP plan. But HealthSpring did include some enhancements this year to help make that process easier with getting that form back from the provider. We not only make sure that the member has that, they can help, do that on their own, but we do also work with the providers to get that form out to them. And we do follow up with you as a broker to let you know when we're still in the process of getting that form if you want to give your members an extra little nudge. And so we do have our ARC team that follows up with that. And then there is an election per year for the C-SNP plan to enroll in a C-SNP. So that is definitely going to be one of your best year-round opportunities in those areas that we have those. Not going to go into the specifics on our levels here because I think you guys, if you're familiar with SNP plans, the D-SNP side of things, you're going to see that this is a similar case in a lot of different markets. But that Medicare Savings Program level is going to be very important for determining that full or partial payout. But the plan setup, regardless of even if it's partial, is still going to be significantly better for a client in the long run that's able to qualify for that and get so much of that cost share reduced. There is a D-SNP care team that's highlighted in terms of that extra dedicated care that they receive. There's richer benefits, and then zero or very low cost sharing in terms of those plans. So even if they're not full duals, still a great benefit to get on for that practically having no medical cost when it comes to that. We have a care manager that's usually involved, a social worker, and then a care coordinator, as well as coordination with some of these other important entities in those people receiving care. And then switching gears over to C-SNP, this is a quick look at the markets that we are currently in for our C-SNP plan. Now, just because you see an entire state, Texas is gigantic, obviously. We just have the C-SNP, for example, offered there in the Valley area, so down along the border in the Rio Grande Valley, in those three counties that we service. And so not quite expanded everywhere, but I think it's going to continue to be a focus. It was kind of a dipping our toe situation for 2026, but I think we'll see some great enhancements going into 2027 as we continue to grow that product. And that's a list of the markets there, and Rio Grande Valley, as I mentioned, down at the bottom. This is just a quick copy of the, and it still has that Cigna branding on there. There is a new copy that has HealthSpring, so that is my bad for completely missing that update on the screenshot, but looks identical in terms of the form and how it's set up. And it is required. There is a 60-day window before a member actually becomes terminated if there's not a form that's returned with that, but the ask is 30 days return to HealthSpring. But again, we do have some processes implemented in place to help speed that process up. Built for long term. How to keep our members happy and healthy in some of the areas that we focus on. So number one, there is a great benefit with most D-SNP members. They're going to, if they have LIS, typically going to be a $0 copay. It's also going to be a complete reduction in the applicable deductible, because I know that was a big topic of discussion this year going into some of the changes. But we do have that available for our D-SNP members, and then there's a lot of CSNP folks that probably will qualify. It's worth looking into for the LIS opportunity. I'll highlight that in a few minutes as well. Enhanced flex card incentives, that was our big highlight going into this year. And then the health risk assessment, which we've already hit on. And all of these available benefits are specific to certain plans. They may differ in some markets. So the LIS program, very important program that's available to any Medicare recipient if they qualify. And there's a lot of things that do cover that, and that's why it's very important to make sure that this is a piece of the conversation with not only anyone that you know is going to qualify for D-SNP and you see that they don't have that, but then really any client. I think it's a great addition to your needs analysis if you suspect some things, and we'll talk about that needs analysis in a moment. But you can check for eligibility for this on our portal. There is under the tools box, the very first tool is the Medicare Medicaid lookup, and you can see where they currently sit with LIS down at the bottom. And so if you're not seeing anything here, that means there is not current level. Now, if they've had it before, there can be a termination date on there if they're not currently effective for that, but that will show their history of where they were with that. Now, our big improvement going into this year was our incentives. And this is not just for any special needs plan recipients, but all plan members. We increased the amount of activities that you can earn to receive funds for the Flex Card. But then also we did up the amount of Flex Card dollars that our SNP clients can receive. And I'll tell you about that in a second. But the incentives for this program, one of the things that a lot of people don't know about it is that you can practically use these funds on just about anything in our retail network. And so we do have, for example, the Achieve CSNP. They have that healthy grocery allowance, but that's going to be just for healthy groceries. And I say the healthy part. So if you're trying to pick up a birthday cake for your grandson, you're not going to be able to get that with the healthy grocery allowance. However, on the other incentives that we have, you can earn up to $500 as a SNP client for completing those healthy activities. And as long as you're not buying one of the big no-nos that's out there, like tobacco, alcohol, anything like that, just about anything is going to be able to get through on that purchase with the retail network that we have, which has a lot of different retailers, including Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, even Kroger, all those. This is what I just mentioned about the $500. Non-SNP members, if you have those on your book of business as well, they're going to be able to earn up to $200 this year, which is excellent. And really helps with retention. And so that's why we mentioned built for long term. This is definitely a program that we believe is going to be a great selling point for those. And there's a lot of things that, go into not only helping them get more money on their Flex Card, but also keeping them healthy, keeping them informed about where they currently stand with their health and active. So excited about that. And then real quick, just another highlight on the health risk assessment. Goes a long way in helping identify some of those needs that we have for clients. And we want you to be a part of that as a broker and make sure that that is a part of that sale anytime that you get that opportunity, because it's going to help every member that actually gets that. But we also want to make sure that you're taking advantage of the extra compensation that's there for you as a broker. You get $50 anytime you complete a health risk assessment, unless you're completing a D-SNP or C-SNP. You're going to get $100 anytime that you do that. It's usually going to be paid the month after you get the enrollment effective. And so if you have any questions about that program, we're happy to help out with that. But great way to still get some additional compensation for you as a broker. Finally, just in the last couple of minutes here, I want to tie this all together. Better for business. So your potential for year-round selling, but I also want to highlight some of the reasons why it's important to get in this business if you're not already really looking for these opportunities in your current business. Number one, you need to conduct a thorough needs analysis with clients, current and new. Needs change. Even myself, I upgraded my phone last week, and I've come a long way in some of the things that I look for in a phone. I used to be able to go after the flashiest camera, the best equipment that was out there. Now I'm really in this season where I'm just needing something that's going to last me all day. I don't need a fancy camera, and I also need just something that's going to work with my iPad and other things. And so I got an iPhone that's specifically for that. It's the same way with insurance and the setup for Medicare. Needs change. There's certain things that maybe that they needed at one point that aren't as much of a priority anymore. And so it's important to have those conversations with not only new clients, but your current clients as well, and that you're having those every year when you're doing those checkups. Remember your why, or you can add a new one. This is a population that needs a lot of help. This is a great way to make a difference when you're working with clients who not only qualify for potentially D-SNP, but also C-SNP, because there's a lot of overlooked health needs that happen on that C-SNP space. Be on the lookout for your centers of influence that can really make a difference. There'll be your provider offices, but also a lot of different opportunities, United Way agencies that are in your community that really benefit the senior population. That's another great way to get involved. And then referrals, not only just from those places that you're connected with, but also your current clients. When you're doing those needs assessments, it may not be the client themselves that you're seeing some of those resource needs. It may be a relative, a friend, a neighbor, whoever that you may have, that you're at that appointment, you see that. So very important challenges to address with the D-SNP population. And I'm not going to read all these here because I think a lot of us are familiar with that and what we see in our community. But these are the opportunities for enrollment. You do have opportunities with your existing Medicaid eligible and LIS, but it's going to be limited primarily to those HIDE or FIDE plans that are out there, unless you're waiting until AEP or another standard election to get them enrolled. So your real money with this is going to be the gain or change Medicaid eligible and LIS, and a great way to determine that with your current clients is going to be in that needs analysis, or also getting out there to prospect for those opportunities and get engaged with those centers of influence and those places that are going to have that. And then the same thing for your chronic condition. We've already mentioned they have that once a year election. But a great way to really get that door open is LIS, opportunity for year-round business to really engage with some of those folks. And let me see here. And I can send this out as a great resource just to remind you of some of those resource limits that are out there for 2026. So financial and resource is the two keys with the LIS side of things. But bring up that opportunity, help members apply. It's very easy to help advocate on behalf of that member and get them situated, and then schedule that appointment to have that taken care of. And so this is going to be a great way to really engage. And then we also have another, just because I know I'm out of time here, I want to make sure I highlight this, findhelp.org. This is a site that we utilize as a vendor that does help you connect with, helps connect that member with resources that they're either already plugged in with, or also can be a great way for you to find out, what are some agencies that I can really work with in my community to make a difference, but also potentially be that advocate for these clients to help, with year-round opportunities. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump to questions. I know I'm just a tad over here, but Melanie, any questions in our chat that we've seen?
The one I did see come up was, do we have an amount on the quarterly allowance, or is that just specific towards what plan or what area?
Yep, it's going to be specific to the area. It's generally going to be in that ballpark. Like I know in Texas, the one down there is 200.
Okay.
It's going to be around that ballpark in some of those other states that we have that, but there could be a little bit of difference in the amount.
Okay, wonderful. And this is a great time to ask questions if anybody has one. Now, does the agent get an email regarding like if the client has not used those quarterly benefits so that they can reach out, or did I miss that?
They do not.
Okay.
That would probably be a great enhancement. I know that CMS was actually, and I think they backtracked on it. They were starting something where they were going to start mailing out a letter, like making the carriers mail out a letter to clients when they weren't utilizing them. But I think they backtracked on that. That may be something that we see in the future. So
that would be awesome. We will have a copy of this recording for those that missed parts of it. I see that come up.
Excellent. And Melanie, I've got that ARC information on here that I was promoting earlier. If anyone needs to reach out by phone, hopefully you guys all know that. It was the same number that Carl was, if you have that plugged in your phone, just a different name. And then the email address has changed. So
yes, and we'll send out a template after this as well. So we'll have some of these resources included in there that we can have. I'm not seeing, you must have done a really fantastic job. I don't see a bunch of questions coming through.
Awesome. Well, hopefully it was a nice teaser to get people interested in some of our SNP opportunities, and would love to give more information on it if you guys have any questions. So
for sure. And all of our marketers will reach out after this, make sure that you're appointed with HealthSpring, and just see if you have any questions. And I guess, wait a minute. No, I thought we were having another question. So I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Chris, thank you so much for being on today and sharing all this information.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much,
right.
Melanie.
Thank
Thanks,
you guys.
y'all.
Have a great day.
Have a good day.